We talked about how global variables could be used in your program, but how there better be a good reason for you to use it. And here is an example of when would be a good time to use a global variable. Here we have a choose your own adventure, and I'll go ahead and play it for you. I called it nutrition. Okay, so I'll stop and return. Okay, so we could see it here in the console, and it says healthy choices. The boy woke up groggily to his mother's yelling, "Wake up, it's your first day of middle school." The boy grudgingly awoke and brushed his teeth. "Do you want to eat breakfast?" his mother asked. Now you could either choose to eat breakfast or grab a Pop-Tart instead, and so I'm going to go ahead and grab a Pop-Tart and choose 2. The boy knew that the Pop-Tart wasn't the best choice, but it was so sugary he couldn't help it. Being his first day at school, the boy arrived to a crowd of children his age around the front gates. They were picking food from the continental breakfast that was being offered. They had different kinds of fruits, buttered toast, and blueberry muffins. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to grab a plate of fresh fruit or grab a blueberry muffin? So I'm going to choose number 2, the blueberry muffin. As the boy was munching on the oversized blueberry muffin, he felt guilty since he knew his mother wouldn't be happy about him eating so much sugar. After finishing his sugary snack, he walked towards the first class listed in his schedule. As he entered his history class, he picked a seat in the back and prepared himself for a long hour. "Hi, I'm Jimmy. What's your name?" "Hi, Jimmy. My name's Teddy. I just moved into town." "Really?" said Jimmy. "Welcome to the area. Do you want some candy?" "I have a watermelon Jolly Rancher." Now I'm going to accept the Jolly Rancher instead of choosing to eat raisins that my mom packed for me. "Sure," said Teddy. He eagerly grabbed the candy and popped it in his mouth. He relished the sugary goodness of the artificially flavored treat. But in the back of his mind, he could hear his mother's disapproval of his choice. Teddy knew that eating candy could often lead to type 2 diabetes, which is a lifelong disease. Mom always said that it could change your life for the worse. So, this is the story here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate some global variables in our story. Okay, so as you noticed here, the hero of the story is a boy named Teddy. And he's being offered these different choices of whether he should be eating healthy foods or he should be eating unhealthy foods, right? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to keep track of his healthiness and his name. Right? So there's going to be 2 global variables that we're going to need. The first one is going to be his name, which we're going to set as an empty string, right? A string with no characters in it to start out. And maybe the next variable can be called sugar. And we can start sugar out at 0 because when he wakes up in the morning, has he eaten any sugar? No, he hasn't. Right? And the way the game's going to work is if he chooses a poor choice, depending on how poor it is, his sugar level will go up. Right? And if he makes a healthy choice, then his sugar level will go down. Right? And if his sugar level goes too high, then it's not going to print a good message. It's going to print a poor message, right? And it's going to print a message that looks something like this. Let's see, what should I call it? Well, I guess I could just call it diabetes, okay? Because that is what was mentioned in the story as being a consequence of eating too much sugar. So let's go ahead and print something like, you have made some poor nutritional choices. You are on your way towards type 2 diabetes. Print. You lose the game. Okay. And over here, this one is the good message, and it's going to say you won the game. All right. So, how is this going to work out? Well, in the very beginning, I never asked for the name, right? But I want to start by asking for the name. So maybe right here, instead of saying the boy, I could say the person's name. So right in the beginning, I can maybe ask them to enter in their name. So I could say name is equal to input, and I'm going to say, please enter your name. And I forgot, it's not going to be input, it's going to be raw underscore input. And notice here that name is grayed out because it thinks that I'm trying to create a local variable called name, a variable that's local to main. And I'm not using that name variable in my definition for main. But this variable name is going to be used in almost every one of our function definitions. So we have two choices here. We could make this variable local, and then every time we call a function, we can pass in name. And then in every function definition, we could receive the name, and then we could use it in our function definition. And then we can go ahead and pass it to the next function, and so on. Right? But as you can see, that means every function call and every function definition is going to be needed to be passed the local name variable, the name variable that's local to main. Right? So this here is a great example of when we would want to use a global variable. So this name variable should be global because it's going to be used in almost all of our function definitions, right? So that's why we made it global here. And now what we want to do, so that this is not talking about a local variable, it's talking about a global variable, is we say global name. Now the variable is no longer underlined, no longer grayed out, and the program knows that this name variable is talking about the global name variable. Okay, so now what we want to do is probably print out the name right here instead of the boy, right? So we could say name plus, and we could just do the concatenating operator because name is a string, and we're concatenating a string with a string. So this boy woke up, it's first day of school, and here we're going to also use name plus instead of the boy. Right? And his mother asked, okay. So then now, if I play the game, I'm going to enter my name. My name is Daniel, so I'm going to say right here. Right? And right here it says, Daniel woke up groggily to his mother's yelling. Daniel grudgingly awoke. And I am going to put a new line right here, actually. So I'm going to go like this, double quotes, and then I'm going to do a plus sign, and we're ready to go. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to say Daniel, and now we got the new line in front of the story and entering of your name. So what I want you to do is, for your choose your own adventure, let's go ahead and modify it. You could either modify it or you can write a new one. Okay, but what I want you to do is to add a global name variable and to take in the name in the very beginning of your story and then use your name throughout your program, right? So instead of me saying Teddy right here, where do I talk about Teddy? Right here. So said Teddy, right? I'm going to say said Daniel, right? Said the name. Okay. So be sure that you use the name variable everywhere that's appropriate in your choose your own adventure, and then we'll move on to the next portion of the game.